They may have just turned 18. Now they smelling themselves. You know, they think they know everything. So I just want to talk about it today because this is a safe space and we can come together and we can talk about stuff. So let's get into it, honey. Hey loves, welcome back to SheSpective. And if this is your first time here, welcome. Around here, we talk about life from the lens of where we are now, okay? So today I want to talk about something that nobody ever really prepared us for. And that's raising children who are no longer children. Now I know at least 75% of y'all can relate to this topic. Before we pour up, I gotta ask a question. Why did nobody tell us that raising little kids is physically exhausting? But when they get grown, when they become adults and feeling themselves, it becomes more on the mental side. And I wasn't prepared at all. I don't care how many times our parents may have told us, you're gonna get back what you did when you were a kid. Your kid gonna be 10 times worse or whatever. That ain't preparing us. Like, we know what we did as teenagers coming up. You might have been rebellious. You might have had a smart mouth. You might have just been, mischievous. A mischievous child. And so, that's what you heard when you were younger. When you get kids of your own, you're going to see what I'm talking about. Well, you can say that, but honestly, you're not going to really understand and know how it feels until you actually in them shoes. People can tell you, oh, this is this, that, and the third. But when you're ready to have children, you're like, okay, I can handle it. I'm gonna want to experience it for myself. I'm gonna be different. No, I'm gonna make sure my child don't do this, that, and the third. That's what we say, and we try to enforce it. But sometimes, not all the time, it don't go that way. So this topic is not to come down on the young adults or anything like that. It's just an open discussion where we can just, unwind and, get some things off our chest and in a way that won't be bashing our young children, our young adult children. Something my kids do now that surprised me. I've heard my daughter curse. I've heard her cuss a couple of times. She don't cuss in front of me, just sit up and cuss, but I've heard her cuss. And when I heard it for the first time as an adult, I've caught her as a child. They didn't think I was home. I came in the house and they didn't know I had came in the house and I heard them cussing. Yeah, But just to hear as an adult, it sounds so weird. Like, I think she was on the phone with one of her friends and I overheard her. But if she's in the house, more than likely she ain't gonna cuss if she know I'm here. And if her friends is on FaceTime or on speakerphone, she gonna let them know my mama right here, so don't say nothing crazy. But that was something that I guess that surprised me. I would say drinking kind of sort of surprised me. Not really. Only because, to be honest, she saw me drink. She been around family when we have get-togethers and be around for holidays and just things like that. So they have seen adults drink. So it didn't just shock me, but I can remember times when I was at a party and I was drinking and having fun and they was like, you need to stop drinking, or, and they would say, I'm never going to drink. If it's going to make me act like that, I'm never going to drink. If they would see somebody acting crazy or whatever, it was always, I'm never going to drink. I'm not going to do that when I'm old enough. And so those were probably the two things that surprised me or shocked me about her. Now my son, he's 19. My daughter's 22. She'll be 23 in May. My son is 19. He won't be 20 until October. But what surprised me about him, I don't know what surprised surprised me. I don't know. I can't think of nothing off the top of my head that has surprised me yet, because he's still kind of laid back. But I know when he around his friends, he different, because he told me. He said, I act a little different. I talk a little different. So, you know, ain't nothing really surprised me. He ain't done nothing to make me just be shocked. So, yeah. I would say one thing I probably miss about them being younger is me being able to have more structure. Me being able to voice my opinion, and it's that. Not this, that, because if they feel like, Mama, why you say that? I don't like that. You hurt my feelings or something like that. They able to express themselves. But I mean, like if I say, no, you can't go here because it's too dangerous. I don't know them people. Then it was just that on it, because they were underage. They was 13, 14, 15, 16. And it was a no. And they had no choice but to listen to me if it was something like, you know, on that side of things, like going to parties, being out after a certain time, so curfew, being out with friends, people that I don't know, just things like that. I feel like that's what I miss, because now, you know, when they become young adults, they think they know everything, and they can't wait to get grown, because can't nobody tell them what to do once they grown. And it's funny, because I was the same way when I was a teenager. So I can understand and relate to them on that end, because, you know, I was the same way. Like, when I get grown, you can't tell me what to do no more. And now that I am an older adult, I sometimes find myself telling my children the same thing that my mama used to tell me when I was a kid. And I'd be like, oh, I sound like my mama that time. And, you know, so it's like, I'm not going to say love, hate. I say love, dislike. Hate is a strong word, but I'm glad to see my children grow up and become, you know, young men and women, and, you know, just find themselves and, you know, all of that. But, and then on the other hand, it's like, oh, I wish I could take them back to when they were little kids. But then again, I don't want to have little kids for the rest of my life. Even though I done started back over and I got a 5-year-old now, but I don't want them to be little forever. Like, I can't see myself just having 5, 6, 7, 8-year-olds that stay that age for the rest of my years. Because mama gotta have a life too. So yeah, so y'all let me know in the comments what surprised you with your kids. What's something that you miss from them being, you know, little kids. Yeah, so we gonna pour up now. This just a little, you know, before we pour up, and you know, because they say, a sober heart. No, a drunk mind speak a sober heart. Wait a minute. A drunk, how I go? A drunk mind speaks a sober heart. I think that's how we go. So now that I done kind of got that out the way, we can pour up. And y'all let me know in the comments what y'all drinking on tonight. And this is not sponsored, but this is some Stella Rosa. So Stella Rosa, if you want to sponsor me, let your girl know. You can drop me an email, and we can do some business. But yeah, I'm drinking on a little, this is blueberry, and it's semi-sweet. So this was like a gift set. It came with like 4 other bottles my brother got me. So let's pour up. I don't need a whole glass, y'all, because I ain't here to get drunk. I'm just here to have a good time and have a little conversation with y'all. Now, let's toast to good conversations and a good, healthy, long life. Now, it is a little warm because I put it in the refrigerator. I got a bar, so most of the time I don't drink at home by myself. I only drink when I'm going to like a gathering or something. But I'm not a solo drinker. I'm a social drinker. So you're not gonna really catch me too fast drinking alone. So yeah. So we're not gonna dwell too much on when they were kids. So the topic at hand today is, does parenting get easier as they become young adults, or is it harder or more stressful? And for me, I'm going to have to say, with me having two young adults, 22-year-old and 19-year-old, I'm going to say on the mental side, mentally, it's more stressful versus when they were kids. It was more on the physical side because, you know, they like to run around. You always got something to do, especially if they get invited to birthday parties. You got a big family, so you ripping and running here, there. If they got, if they into any of the school activities, so it can be a bit busy. So I feel like when they're kids, it's more on the physical. When they become adults, it's more on the mental side. So I would say, like, for me, when my children, I don't know what should I call them. They still my children. I don't care what age they are. I'm still gonna call them my children. But like when they go out with their friends or family that's their age, I worry. I seem to worry more, only because I don't have a lot of say so now. Of course, I'll give advice and just kind of give them a quick, hey, make sure, you know, you're grown. You go out there doing something you ain't got no business doing. You going to the big house, ain't no juvenile, and, you know, just kind of give a quick, you know, little speech. But I don't do it every time. It just depends on who they're going with or where they're going. So I'm mentally stressed in that manner. Like, I trust them, but it's just so much going on in the world that you never know. I don't know their friends. I don't have close relationships with their friends. I don't. Some parents do have close relationships with their children's friends. I don't. Like, if they come over to the house or if they're on the phone, especially with my daughter, a lot of them know me from when she was younger, and she would have sleepovers for her birthday or just a weekend. She'll ask if some friends could come over and stay the night out, you know. So I know them, some of them from, you know, being over my house and stuff like that. And if she goes somewhere with them, but like literally know them personally, like, I don't. So it's a little harder, you know. I just pray that everything I've instilled in them, they use it in their everyday life. When they're not around me, I pray that they act as if I'm there. But, you know, when they get grown, you know, this is the time they really start experimenting, trying to find themselves. So it's going to be sometimes you're going to find out that your children may or may not be doing something that you didn't want them to do, that you taught them was not good, or, you know. And it don't have to be drastic. It could be trying weed, it could be drinking, you know, or it could be a little more drastic, you know. Everybody have different walks of life, but it just, like, your children sometimes can act as if you haven't taught them a thing. I'll say for me, when my daughter became 18, when she turned 18 and she had her first doctor's appointment, I think I went with her to, or maybe right before she turned her last doctor's appointment, before she turned 18. I showed her how to do the paperwork, you know, this, that, and the third. So when she turned 18 and she could make her own doctor's appointments, dentist appointments, whatever, then, you know, hey, I think I may have went with her the first time, but after that, you're on your own. You're on your own. You can call me if you're unsure about something, like, hey, I don't understand what this means. Of course, I'm going to always be there, you know, for you if you got a question or need some advice or something. But in that aspect, baby, I was like, woo. I was like, woo, thank you, Lord. I don't have to do that no more. There's one less child. I got to be running back and forth to the doctors, to the dentist, whatever, because she ended up getting her a car too. So that was another thing. I didn't have to take her places. She had her own vehicle. So that was a plus. So let me get a little coffee. So, I just, like I said, all I can do is pray and give advice when I feel like it's needed, and make sure I let them know that you can come and talk to me. You can ask me questions. You don't have to have it all figured out at the age of 18 or 21 or 22, but you need to show some responsibility and show that, you are trying, because I know I didn't have it all figured out at that age, at 21. I had my daughter at the age of 20. Yeah, because she'll be 23 this year and I'll be 43 this year. So I had her at the age of 20. We're 20 years apart. So I know I didn't have it all figured out then. So I don't expect her to have it all figured out. And that goes for my son too. I'm a single mother. And so I'm raising a son, a man. And a woman can't teach a boy to be a man. I ain't gonna act like these women out here that, sometimes, I can. No, I can't. But I do the best I can and try to guide him the best I can. Now, is there family that, not really. Being totally honest, there's not a lot of role models around that, he can just look up to, that he just, probably feel comfortable with, talking to, or, just guiding him. He got a couple people that he can, get a little advice from, but just to be a role model, no. So I just pray I did the best I could and instilled in him some things, and some things, you got to learn along the way as well. So you're not going to even learn everything from your dad, but it's good to have that male role model in your life. But so I worry about that when he's out, because, police brutality, just being with the wrong people, getting in trouble. And, all I can tell him is don't get your butt into something that you can't get out of. And don't get your butt into something is wrong, and then you expect me to get you out. Because if you do something that's drastic and you get in trouble, I'm going to let you feel it. I'm going to let you feel it. So it's just more so me just praying that they, have a successful, happy, healthy life. And, just to be safe when they out there. Because, baby, I got locations, but I don't sit up there and just watch their locations unless I'm checking in just to make sure, everything good. And, somebody don't text me back. It's been 10 minutes, been 20 minutes, been 30 minutes. And I ain't got no phone call. Or I ain't got no text back. Then I get to looking at the location just to make sure. Because, not to get off topic, because it's still kind of on topic, but I seen an episode, I don't know if that was like true crime or some podcast, but the mom said that her adult son, he was young, he wasn't no more than 20, 21, and she had his location, and she said, but it wasn't like really moving or something like that. She had talked to him and she knew he was supposed to be somewhere different than where he was, and the location wasn't really moving. And then when it started moving, when she looked, when she checked it, it was at the morgue. So just imagine it. And she not thinking probably, that her son was not alive. And so I guess she went down there because she, couldn't get in touch with him. And she went to the location. And just to sum it up, her son had been in the morgue. He was not alive anymore. And so that's just scary. You go out with your friends and then you don't make it back home. So that's kind of where I am mentally, and just want to know that mentally that they are okay, because it be so much going on in the world that you just want your kids to be okay. More so than anything, more so than being rich or successful or just whatever, mentally you need to be okay, because if anybody is not mentally okay, then how can you function in the world in any other aspect of your life? You're gonna struggle. So yeah, I just think that it's a lot of stress, and it's a lot of, they think they know everything, child. They think they know when you're trying to tell them about how to pay bills, how to manage your credit, checking your lights on your car, just, it could be small stuff. It's like relationships, because now they having their relationships, and they go through their little spats and challenges in their relationships too. And then we gotta realize, like, you really can't step in to a certain extent. You gotta let them handle them, because with that comes heartbreak. You gotta be there for the heartbreak. Child, with that heartbreak, oh my God. y'all that got young adults that went through heartbreaks, that had problems in relationships, y'all know, because I'm sure y'all done heard them in the household, on the phone, yapping, arguing back and forth. So yeah, so I done been through that phase with my daughter a couple of times. Like, come on, gotta get it together. So it's like trying to guide them in the right way to know their worth in these relationships, and don't settle. Just don't put up with nothing. Don't let nobody put their hands on you. Don't think it's okay for somebody to cheat on you. Like, just, things that we went through. And what I'm learning now is you gotta just let them fly. You gotta just set them free. You gotta let them go out there and make mistakes. You gotta let them try. You gotta let them fall and scrape their knee, and just make sure they know that, when you scrape your knee, I'm here. I got a Band-Aid for you. Now, you might get some talking to before you get the Band-Aid, but I'm gonna be here for you. But the biggest lesson in life is to just, you gotta experience it for yourself. I can tell you all day, don't do this, don't do this. You're gonna get in trouble. This gonna happen, that gonna happen. Because my mama told me. And get what? I still want to experience it for myself. So I'm learning to not expect what I wish I was, or what I wish I would have done in them. Like, it's a lot of stuff I wish I would have did differently. And then I found myself sometimes hammering it down on them. Like, you need to do this, you need to do that. Don't do this, don't do that. You need to go to school. You need to go to a 4-year college. Don't have sex before marriage. Like, all of this different stuff. Don't try drugs. All of this stuff that I, was the opposite of. I was trying to, I felt like I got to a point where it was like, do this, do that, do the third. Do this, do that, do the third. Just throwing it at them instead of really kind of asking them what you want to do with your life. Which, when they're younger, you ask them what they want to be when they grow up, and this and that and the third. But as they get older, their answers change. They have a different way of thinking. They their own person, mamas and dads. So we got to remember that as they grow up, they're finding themselves. So we got to show them grace as well. Just like, we want to be shown grace. We need to show ourselves grace. They need to be shown grace too. And it's just something I'm learning. So now I feel like I'm not their friend. They still know that I'm the parent, but the relationship changes as they get older. It's not more of rah, rah, rah. Like, just giving them orders, demanding them to do stuff. It's more on the, let's talk about it side. Let's laugh about it. So it's more on a friendly side, a more relaxed side. I guess you could say that, more so than just structured. And I feel like, I can't say which relationship I like better as kids. Cause when they're children, you get all the hugs and kisses and just, you get all of that when they're kids. When they start growing up, you have some that still, they show emotions and still give you hugs and kisses and want to lay in the bed with you and stuff like that. But for the most part, some of them don't. They think they too big. They think they done got grown. They can't do that kind of stuff no more. But, mine still will. They'll sneak in here and lay on the bed and we talk and laugh. So I feel like the conversations, the bond, the relationship is different when they become adults. And it's actually fun. That's when you really get to know your kids, and you might get some shockers here and there, when you start learning about them. But, they're actually cool people. At least that's what I feel about mine. So, I just hope that, the world shows them love, and that, the universe just gives them what they put out, and it's good. And it's goodness, that's positivity, and it's just so I hope whatever experiences they go through, that they learning from them, and that's just the bottom line. The lessons that they are learning, they actually learning, and they making sure they stay on their right path. But like I said, I go back to how I was, so I can't be too hard on them. It just depends on what it is. I'm gonna give you gonna get some talking to. It just depends on what it is. So, like my daughter is talking about moving out. She gonna be 23 in May. All of a sudden, she ready to move. I got to get out of here. Well, I think I forgot. I think I gave my kids to the age of 24. Now, hear me out. I said you got to the age of 24 if you're not working or going to school to, further your education so you can, get your career going. If you just sitting, not doing nothing, not trying, then I need you up out of here at 24. Get out. I mean, like get out, but get out, because you can't be a full-grown adult and you're not trying to do nothing with your life. And 4-year colleges, that's not for everybody. Go pick up you a trade, go to a 2-year college or something that probably take 8 months to a year. Like, it's just all depends on what you want to do, but do something with your life. If you want to live in here, if you need to go past 24, as long as you're trying to save money, save a certain amount of money, or you're trying to finish up school and get your career going, like, cool, you can stay here for the 25, 26, 27. If you're doing something productive and you're trying to build, you're building the life that you want, to where, you don't have to be paycheck to paycheck. Y'all know what I'm saying. So I did. I told my kids that, like, and not so much as to just have that on their mind to, like, oh my God, I'm almost 24, or oh my God, I'm almost 24. I'm about to have to get out. No, it's just me trying to get them to understand, like, I need to get my stuff together. Cause you can have your fun. You graduate high school, you get you 6 months. If you choose, I'll give you the first, 6 months of getting out of high school to just chill, like, just figure it out. But not long after that, we need to start writing down plans, what you want to do. So, but I don't expect, I want more for my kids. So I guess that's why I tell them 24, you need to be, if you're not doing nothing with your life, you don't want to do nothing with your life, you can't live here for the rest of your life and not do nothing, because mama got to have a life too. And so I realized that too. Let me say this. When my kids were younger, yes, I had boyfriends, I had friends that I dealt with, but I mostly, when they were kids, when they were younger, their dad was kind of semi more active. Like on some weekends, they would go over his house and spend the weekend, or in the summertime, sometimes they would stay over for weeks at a time, and they would just come home, get clothes and stuff, and that was cool with me. Hey, mama getting her break. And so, and they both have the same dad, so that was a plus. One go, the other go. So, yeah, that was a plus. And so I tried to not have men over unless they were gone. They were out of the house. So they gone for the weekend. That's when I had my company. Now, if I really had a friend, or I say a boyfriend, man, whatever you want to call them, somebody that I have built a relationship with, and we had that type of bond and relationship, and they met my child, that was okay. But if that person would come over, I always had, everywhere I've lived, I've had my own bathroom in my bedroom. So they really didn't have to leave my room. So my door would be closed. So, and the man know, if you're walking through my house, you make sure you're fully clothed. You walking in no boxers and no shirt, or pants and no shirt. I set boundaries. And, but my kids, when they were younger, they didn't even want me laying in the bed with their daddy. When me and their daddy was together and being around each other, sleeping at each other's houses, they didn't even want me around him. They didn't want him sleeping in the bed with me. So just imagine if another man, they see him in the bed with me, baby. So it's just a different experience for them, for me, and it could be fun at times. It could be stressful at times. So I'm not gonna say just because they became adults that everything is still stressful. No, we have our fun times. I feel like we are bonding more because now they feel like, or they can come and talk to me about certain stuff that they couldn't, whether it be sex, something they tried, or just their personalities. I get to see more of their personalities now. So it can be fun too. It's not always stressful. Right? So I'm not trying to make it like, oh my God, everything they do is just driving me crazy. No. We have our good times, and we have more good times than bad times. And when I feel like it's time to step in and say something about something, I'm going to always say something. I'm never going to bite my tongue, and they know it. And I try to remind them that, and, kind of tell them like, this is for me, telling you this, that, and the third. Some things I don't want you to have to go through. If you don't have to go through it, I don't want you to go through it. True enough, there are going to be some things in life that mama can't help. Mama can't protect you from. You're going to have to go through it. You're going to have to experience it for yourself and learn from it. You know what I'm saying? So, but there are some things I feel like I can, not control, but I feel like I can keep them from, experiencing, because everything you don't have to experience just because you became an adult. Everything you don't have to experience, like struggling. I don't want my kids to go and have to, you want to move out, but now you paycheck to paycheck paying your bills. No, I've been telling you since you graduated, okay? Y'all know before they turn 18, I always said the age that, if you ain't doing nothing with your life, you just want to be lazy and a bum, you can't be here past 24. So, and it's just my household. Everybody is different in their household. Some people, their kids can live with them forever and they don't care, whether they ain't gotta have no job, they ain't gotta be doing nothing. Everybody's household is different. So I'm not here to judge. I'm just kind of, giving a little insight on what my household is, and, my opinion on, raising adult children, and, but, yeah, I just feel like things like that. That's an example. I feel like you shouldn't have to go through the struggle. Like with my children, there were times when I struggled when they were younger, but I tried to not let them see me, like know what was going on. You're not gonna know if a bill late, if our light's about to get turned off. I'm not gonna tell my child that. There's nothing for you to stress about. You're a child. And take a sippy sip. So that's something I feel like I can prevent. I want to help you not have to go through, because that's a struggle nobody should have to feel. Unfortunately, people do. But that's something I don't want my kids have to experience. Now, as they've gotten older, when they hit like 15, 16, 17, I was able to talk to them and tell them a little more. Like, if it was ever a time that I couldn't come through for them $200 shoes that these kids be wanting, and I say, no, can't do it this time, because I had to make sure the light bill was paid, or the car note, or the rent, or whatever the case may be. I feel like the older they got, I could explain more why, and not just say no, you can't have it this time. No, you know what I'm saying? Just not saying no without any explanation. When they became of a certain age, I started to kind of say, this is the reason why you can't, so they just don't think I'm saying no, 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 and like I'm just a mean mom. But for them to have to become an adult and get their own place and, you know, get bills, accumulate bills, and have to struggle, that's something that I feel like I can prevent. If they would listen to me and save their money and build their credit, then they'll be on a good road. They'll be on a good path. So, yeah. So that's what I wanted to come and talk about today. It was just kind of on my mind, and I know a lot of parents can relate to this topic. And it don't have to be just single mothers. It could be dads, two people households, two parent households. You know, I feel like with this topic, we all kind of go through some of the same stuff. Maybe in different ways, but a lot of this is we going through the same stuff. You know, so yeah, I just wanted to come and talk to y'all about that. Okay, now we're gonna get into the sis mail. Okay, I don't have a card this time, but what we're gonna do for the sis mail is I asked you all a question on Facebook, and I also made a poll on YouTube, but I didn't get any responses because I think I made the poll too late. I made it the same day that I'm recording, so that was on my end, but I did get some responses on Facebook. I made a post. I asked y'all, is parenting young adults more stressful now or just different? So let's go over quickly the answers that I got. I'm not gonna give out names because, you know, sometimes people don't want you to know their names. They want to be anonymous, but I'm just gonna read off the answers that I got. One person said that it's a mix of both, and I agree with that. It can be a mix of both. Stress, but it's just a different kind of stress, like I said, when they're young versus when they're adults. It could be physically when they're young and mentally when they're older. Another person said the older they got, the more stressful it became. You can't make decisions for adults, nor tell them what to do, but they expect you to fix the mess ups. Clock that T. She's so right. Think you can't tell them nothing. And then sometimes when they do something or, you know, mess up on something, then it's like you never taught them that. I've gotten it from my kids. You ain't never showed me how to do that. Oh, I guarantee you I've showed you, and I have been consistent with like showing certain stuff and telling you and talking to you and about certain stuff. So don't try to pull that card on me. So I definitely feel where she's coming from. They don't want you to tell them nothing, but soon as whatever that situation is don't go right, some go wrong, they need help, then they come to you. Now they need you, which that's okay because they still learning, they still young, but at the same time, gotta listen sometimes. Another person said it's much stressful having grown adult children. I wish I could blink and make all 3 kids again and keep them that way for life. And I can understand that, but like I told y'all earlier, I don't want my kids to be kids forever. I don't want to be a mother to little kids forever. I want to be able to live my life too. I want to have a life of my own too. But I definitely understand where she's coming from, because it's like you feel like you can protect them more, and you know their whereabouts, and that's just basically it. You can protect them more. You holding them close to you as kids. She also said, I be thinking all the time, like my mama had to be so stressed out when we was clubbing damn near every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and sometimes Sunday. But back then, it wasn't as dangerous as now. Definitely not as dangerous as it was. It wasn't that dangerous back then. But now, it's a crazy world, and you just got to keep them in prayer and pray that when they go out, that you know, no hurt, harm, or danger, you know, come to them. Keep them protected. And then another one said the most stressful ever. She put stressful ever in capital letters now, and they are grown. So, you know, most of the answers I got is they feel like it's more stressful as they become adults. And I can feel that because, yeah, it's a lot. All of that, what I talked about today, all in one. That's, in my opinion, what makes it more stressful. Not all the time, because, you know, I have a lot of good times with my children as well. It's just that when you have those moments, I'll just kind of put them in a category as moments and not just overall. But you know, hey, gotta live and learn. All right, I'm gonna leave y'all with a nightcap. Motherhood does not get easier, baby. It evolves, and so do we. So mamas, just remember, you're not losing control. You're building trust, okay? So this week, let's all practice guiding our children, our young adults, instead of gripping. Boom. Clock that T now. All right, y'all, that's going to be the end of this episode. I want to thank you all for spending time with me on SheSpective. I hope today's conversation reminded each and every one of you that your perspective matters. Your growth matters. It's okay to move at your own pace because, you know, you got to run your own race. If this resonated with you, make sure you subscribe. And I'll see you all in the next episode. Ready for more real talk, reflection, and perspective. So stay gentle with yourself, loves. Bye, y'all.